morning. Welcome to Nick in an Office Having Coffee with a musician. Today I'm joined with Ray Trujillo, who is a violinist in the Greeley Philharmonic Orchestra. Hi Ray, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm living a dream, living a dream. So welcome to the show. I don't know if you can call it a show or not, but looking forward to get to know you a little better, Ray, and introduce you to the online world of all our followers on Facebook and social media and our website and also email blasts. So we're really looking forward to get to know you a little better. But let's start first. You're a violinist in the orchestra. When did you join? And also tell us about what other instruments you play and are dedicated to.
Yes, so I joined the Philharmonic in officially in January of 2019. I am the Associate Second Violin Principal, and I also am a professional jazz saxophonist as well, and I freelance also throughout the Front Range and various jazz clubs, as well as for a long while, many nursing homes doing solo violin, solo saxophone around the area, and just really sharing my music with the community, really just being connected with everybody.
So violin and saxophone are very different, as there are very few pieces of music in the orchestral world with saxophone in there. So when did you take up jazz saxophone? Did you which one did you start with first, and what made you want to do both classical and jazz?
Right. So I started the violin when I was 2 years old, and then a year and a half later, at 3.5, I started the saxophone. I started on a Kurd Yanikisawa soprano saxophone, as the straight saxophone, as you know, like something like Kenny G would play, was obviously too big for me at the time. So I started on that, and then I incorporated like woodwind doubling, like flute and clarinet, within the few years following. And so I learned by ear at first on saxophone, since I was doing classical training on the violin through that period. So then as time went on, then I've been able to read more saxophone music, and then everything kind of followed from there on out.
So just to reiterate, you started violin when you were 2 years old.
Yes.
Do you remember anything about starting violin when you were 2? Some of our memories don't start that early on. So do you have any recollection of what it was like starting out?
Not at 2 years old though, but it's interesting because coming from a musical family, my parents had started me on the violin about the first year and a half or so, and then around that time, not long before I turned 4 years old, I was taken to a Suzuki teacher, which was part of my classical training for violin. So right around the age of, before I turned 4 years old, that's when I started taking formal lessons after studying with my parents. So then, and then for saxophone, my father, who also played saxophone, he also plays flute and percussion. He has been my primary teacher, and then many others to follow.
Wow. So it's safe to say you've played an instrument for like 97% of your lifetime. We don't have to say how old you are, but a huge part of your life.
Sure, yes. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Colorado? Are you from where are you from?
So, yeah, so I'm originally from Sacramento, California, which is Northern California. It's about 2 hours north of San Francisco. So born and raised there. I grew up in a music business. So my father, as I mentioned just before we started, he owned a business for 25 years, and he ran from '89 to 2015. And he taught lessons, sold merchandise, and so growing up in a family business, learned basically everything working in a small business, and then being very connected with community, and just being able to teach and just really be full on 24/7 music all the time. So that's kind of my background. But yeah.
Fully immersed in it. How often do your parents get to come out and visit you in Colorado and see you perform?
Right. So I had moved out here in August of 2016, and about a year and a half later, my father had moved out here as he's still continuing to freelance as a percussionist and flutist. So he moved out here for work, and also my mother followed as well. And she doesn't do music anymore. She more focuses on like business marketing, and she works in the Loveland area as well. So yeah, she moved out here actually just last September. So she surprised me for my birthday, which was a week after she moved here. So it was a really nice birthday present.
So growing up in a musical family, did you have any brothers and sisters who played as well?
Yes, so I have a younger sister, 10 years my junior, so she plays alto saxophone and flute. She started flute, she was about 2.5, almost 3 years old. And then the last couple of years, she's been playing alto saxophone, and then when she moved here as well, she had played in the bands over at Brentwood Middle School with Kathy Azari, and now playing in many of the bands with Mr. Doug Farr at Really Central as she's about to start her sophomore year. So
excellent.
Yeah.
You know, I will ask, you know, do you have a particular genre you love to play more than the other one, or are they just so different and they fulfill so many different needs or whatever for you that?
No, that's correct. No, it fills so many needs. I mean, going back and forth between classical and jazz, and then also tapping into other genres. You know, it fills everything. So it's kind of hard to kind of pinpoint just one. You know.
Yeah, they're so different, but you know, they're what they can do for an audience, and the energy that you get from an audience or wherever is just kind of magical. Anywhere you go with a live performance is just something special about that. So outside of the music world, what do you do for fun? Do you, you know, outdoorsy stuff, board games? What does Ray do when he's not practicing his violin or his saxophone?
Right. So I love to do like reading, like my parents, like reading like history. I'm an avid reader. I have a small puppy, and I like to take on walks to the park and everything. And once in a great while, go on a hike. My go-to place, at least right now, is Horsetooth in Reservoir in Fort Collins, and just being around family and friends. So that's kind of what I do in my downtime, and then sleep, of course. One of the other favorite. Yeah.
So I'm sure our viewers are all going to want to know what kind of puppy he or she is.
Yeah. So she's a mixed breed. I can't pinpoint exactly, but it's just Chihuahua mix, and she's somewhere around here. Actually, I don't know where she is at the moment, but I don't have a picture on hand, so I'm saving my phone. Anyway, she's just very fluffy and everything. Her name is this real name is Half Note. Half Note. So she's just a sweet little puppy. About I'd say yay big and everything, and she's about almost 7 years, so not totally a puppy, but a puppy though. Yeah.
So when you're not in school, you're not performing. I mean, we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, and everything in the arts is just so up in the air, and we're all just kind of waiting for that next step, you know, because we're just kind of on that roller coaster ride of, are we coming back? Are we staying, you know, away? Are we coming back? Are we going to be pushing things more digitally? So what are you doing during this time? Are you practicing a lot? Are you playing? Are you creating new ways of marketing yourself? What are you doing during this pandemic time?
Yeah, so ever since everything, you know, this pandemic started and everything, yes, been practicing more than really just studying, kind of just old, like as far as like violin goes, like going back to the roots of like the old masters of how they played and what techniques they used. And then likewise for the saxophone and all the greats before, just really finding new ways to be more creative musically. And then also been getting more trying to get more tech savvy, like using Zoom and all that, and seeing like ways like, you know, how you see those videos where, you know, they're all stacked up like that, and just being able to like connect and be able to play like with people all over the world. So I'd say I'm not completely tech savvy, just all the way, but I'm learning new things every day, and just reading different things from friends, how they are able to still market during this time. So really just kind of learning from every angle as much as I can, and being able to be creative, and with only so little, you know.
You're one of our locals who lives in Greeley. So what's it like in your experiences so far performing with a professional orchestra, and also getting to know your peers who may not be as local as you are, coming from a greater distance. What's it like to be a part of an ensemble like that?
Right. So being able to be a local is very rewarding. And working with the professional orchestra again is, really kind of my first time really working with such excellent professional musicians, and seeing the camaraderie, seeing how well professionalism is at the highest level always, and seeing how communal everything is, and just being able to share that with everybody, kind of bounce off ideas with each other, and really just be supportive of each other. That's the biggest thing that I've really come to find working with a professional orchestra, seeing how supportive of each other that everybody is. I've been very thankful to be a part of it, really, Phil. So that's what my biggest takeaway and going forward. So
you introduced yourself earlier as the associate principal second violin player. So we have a lot of titles we throw out with an orchestra: the concertmaster, associate concertmaster, assistant concertmaster. What is the associate principal of the second violin? Where do you sit and what do you do?
Right, so I am in the first stand on the inside, so in the second chair next to the principal. So basically, I find that my job working with the principal, being able to be active, like no matter of the piece, and being able to be as alert, be listening to my stand partner, and be able to blend with the section, and to assist the principal player, and really just being able to be a secondary leader for one section that really is part of the whole for the whole string section. So, and being able to see how to lead with each other, not trying to lead just as one person. So again, that camaraderie. So that's at least my position. What I do.
And in any situation where the principal player is not there or gets bumped up to the concertmaster seat, you're the one who steps in, and you're the kind of the section leader, the captain of the second violins.
Yeah. So then when that happens, and then yes, I take over, and during my time with the Philharmonic, I've had the opportunity to be the acting second violin principal in this case. So when I've learned from other principal players in the orchestra, being able to really be more on my toes, and really listen even more, and to be able to react at any given moment with tempo changes, articulations, and being able to blend, and also being able to lead and bring everybody together as one unit to balance everything out with the rest of the strings, and then ultimately the whole orchestra.
Yeah, and when we're talking about first violins and second violins, for any potential misconceptions out there, it doesn't mean that second violin players aren't as good as the first violin players, but most of the time, if I'm correct in understanding this, the second violin parts are the same as the first violin parts, just an octave lower, right? Just to add that depth and sound to the violin section. Am I correct there?
Absolutely, yes. So playing like an octave lower, it's really to kind of be as a support to the first, and then first vice versa, to be able to go together, like playing one phrase that leads to the next, and then ultimately the next section, and again just really blending together where it just sounds, where there's so many people that it really sounds as one as can be. So.
Yeah. What are some performances that have stuck out most to you, have been some of the most memorable concert experiences that you'll take with you forever, or have reminded you that, yes, I'm doing what my calling is, I'm a musician, and this is just awesome? So what are, one or two of your favorite concert or performance experiences that you're going to hold true for the rest of your life?
So yeah, so starting with violin, it was actually just over a few months before I moved here. I had the opportunity to solo with a semi-professional orchestra back in California, in Rancho Cordova, a half hour outside of Sacramento, had the opportunity to play the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto with the orchestra. And it was a fairly new ensemble, so we were able to call in some professional musicians from the saxophone harmonic, and being able to solo with a new orchestra, and being able to be in the community of Rancho Cordova, and soloing such a master level piece, and being able to share that with the community, that at least in one part of the community that wasn't really so used to having like classical music and everything, and be able to share that with them. That was probably one of my best concerts, soloing that concerto. So that's something I will always remember. It was a great night, and again, the camaraderie then is something I will carry with me forever. As for the jazz side, right, and again, this goes back to California. At the time, I was in the 1 o'clock lab band at Sacramento State. I had the opportunity to solo alongside a great jazz trombonist from New York. His name is John Fetchuk, and we played all of his music and arrangements, and I was able to solo on his arrangement of Duke Ellington's Caravan, and also John Fetchuk's composition Up and Running. So being able to solo next to a jazz giant of our current day, and play original music and everything with a top ensemble, and it was one of the greatest nights. And again, those 2 videos are on my YouTube channel, so for those watching, you guys can check it out. And so from then on out, I knew that was probably one of the best concerts I do with that big band, and I'll cherish that forever.
Do you have any advice for young musicians who are maybe in their middle school or high school years, who didn't get to start at 2 years old, for how to take that leap into the professional musician world?
Absolutely. So I'd say my advice would be, is just surround yourself with as many professionals as you can, and people who are better than you. I'd say be open, being able to be open to constructive criticism. That's how you get better. Being able to have humility, integrity, and of course practicing a lot as well, but also just being able to really just love what you're doing in the moment, not trying to if I know I need to be here, or I have to be there. No, it's just let it develop naturally, and just be thankful of the progress that you're doing in the moment. Because I mean, that's really what God is, to be thankful to really just that you get to do this. That you're healthy, that you're strong, that you have the ability and the opportunity to do it. So that would be my advice for musicians around that age going forward. So
absolutely, yeah, and I think that's going to be even more instrumental, pun intended, for younger musicians coming into the music world during a time of a pandemic, and after a recession 10 years ago or 12 years ago. And I mean, there's just so many ups and downs in the music world that we've experienced in the last decade and a half. So it's, as somebody told me, never let a good crisis go to waste. So I'm excited to see how the music world will adapt to some of these changes, how we keep the safety of our musicians as a high priority, as well as the safety of our concert goers and our patrons, because they're who we're performing for. They're what we want to help enjoy the sounds of the symphony, and learn new styles of music, new ways of music, new ways to interpret music. Like we did Jurassic World this year in concert with the movie playing with the full symphony underneath, and I think that was an eye-opening experience for a lot of our concert goers who'd never experienced something like this. My favorite moment of that, I think I've already shared this in a previous interview, but it was just from the audience standpoint, me sitting up and watching the audience's reaction. It was them watching the screen, then the orchestra comes in, and they're right back down watching the orchestra, and then they trickle back up and kind of forget the orchestra's there, and then holy moly, there's the orchestra again. It was just really, really fun to watch. They looked like little like robots almost, that were being controlled as their heads were going up and then down, and then up and then down.
Yeah.
But I think that's really key for us to from the arts world to expose music in a variety of ways to a new audience or our current audiences, to show them just the power of live symphonic music and what we can achieve and do.
Right. Yeah, and on that note, on Jurassic World, that was, I'd say, of many concerts, that was one of my favorite concerts from this past season. It was my first time playing to a live movie and everything, and also that particular concert, I was acting principal second and leading the section and leading the section and being able to just kind of, you have to be like, there's very little wiggle room in between, because I mean you're kind of following the click track with it, and just being able to, again, you have to adapt, and you have to think of so many things at once while leading. So that was a really unique experience, and got to get some really great input from my other colleagues who were principal players. So that was number one. That was really a great experience, a really, I would say, learning experience, but it was also just really fun to be able to play a movie, and again, the concert, being able to have that amazement from the audience, how real it was. It's like they were watching the movie, but really it was just with the orchestra right next to it. So that was really amazing. So that was one of my favorite concerts.
Somebody commented, I think after the concert, in the lobby, and said, you got to stop doing these because you're going to ruin my home experience of watching movies. They're going to get spoiled by hearing a live orchestra while watching a film. So they were joking, of course, but said this was just an eye-opening experience. Jurassic World probably wasn't the most sought after film to do, for a normal audience of ours, that's kind of pushing the extremes. It's a newer film, very different from the original Jurassic Park in the 90s, plus the score from John Williams in the 90s. But I think Michael Giacchino did a great job, and you get a lot of those great heart-tugging themes that you get from Jurassic Park. A lot of times, sometimes the orchestra is just the background sound effects that happen, but other times it really draws out the emotion and the weight and the power and the drama of that film. And to me, that's just goosebumps when that happens, and it helps to really appreciate and respect the film even more, and more so the composers who are able to do that. Sometimes you don't always get that if you're in a movie theater or you're home, but boy, seeing that live was just, I had chills every night of rehearsal seeing that, and then during the concert was just pretty, that would go down as one of my, I have a favorite concert every time we have a concert. It's my favorite for a different reason, but that's just one of how unique our programs can be. That says that was just a really cool time for me to see a new audience in there, to see our tried and true audience members really enjoy that and love that. Some folks didn't. Oh no, we lost you.
Oh, hold on.
No worries. Just having our folks and people just really appreciating the changes that we're trying to make and get them to experience orchestras in a different way. So hopefully they can be a little more hypersensitive or hyper aware of the TV shows they watch, the movies they watch, the coffee shops they attend, and how much music is really around us all the time. I like to joke and say it's like the Force. It's around us, it binds us, it penetrates us. Music is everything that is the Force. So I think that's my interpretation. Well, again, this is Assistant Principal Second Violinist Ray Trujillo. He's here in Greeley, Colorado, joining me at Nick in an office having coffee. Ray, we really appreciate you having you on today and get to know you a little more. And you're a very skilled violinist and a very skilled saxophone player as well, jazz saxophonist. So we'll, of course, submit some links to Ray's YouTube page so you can see him in his element of being a classical violinist and a jazz saxophonist. So Ray, really appreciate your time today and look forward to seeing you back on the stage performing really soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Nick.